Level 1, the disaster. This is the lowest tier of presidents. Not only do they fail to help their nation, they actively destroy it. Their time in power is remembered as a period of fear, poverty, and chaos. So what makes a president a true disaster? First, corruption. These leaders treat the nation's treasury as their personal bank account. Billions vanish into their pockets while schools, hospitals, and infrastructure fall apart. Second, oppression. They rule with an iron fist, silencing anyone who dares to speak against them. Journalists disappear, critics are jailed, and ordinary citizens live in constant fear. Third, catastrophic decisions. Their policies lead to economic collapse, mass starvation, endless wars, or even genocide. The nation doesn't just stand still, it crumbles. History has given us many examples of this type of leader. Take Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines. He declared martial law, silenced his opponents, and looted billions of dollars. When he was finally removed, the country was drowning in debt. Or Mobutu Sese Seko of Zaire, now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo. He built palaces for himself, flew in designer clothes from Paris, and filled his private jet with luxury goods, while his people lived in poverty and hunger. Then there was Nicolae Ceausescu of Romania. He forced his people into suffering through failed economic experiments, built giant monuments to himself, and ruled with brutal repression. His rule ended with a revolution and his execution, broadcast to the world. And of course, Saddam Hussein in Iraq. He controlled his country through violence, started wars that killed millions, and left behind a broken nation scarred by decades of dictatorship. But perhaps the most infamous example is Adolf Hitler. Under his leadership, Germany started the Second World War, unleashing destruction across the globe and committing genocide on an unimaginable scale. These are the leaders who fall into level 1. They are not remembered with respect. They are remembered as nightmares. When you think of a level 1 president, think of someone who didn't just fail at leadership, but turned their entire nation into a tragedy. Level 2, the weak leader. Not every bad president is evil, some are just weak. A weak leader isn't corrupt on purpose, they simply don't have the strength to lead. They lack vision, courage, and control. Instead of leading the nation, they let the nation drift. These are the presidents who always say yes to everyone. They try to please every side, but end up pleasing no one. They avoid hard decisions, and when crisis hits, they freeze. Their governments are full of chaos. Ministers fight each other, corruption grows unchecked, and foreign powers easily manipulate them. They're not dictators, but they're not true leaders either. Let's look at history. Herbert Hoover in the United States is often remembered this way. During the Great Depression, millions lost their jobs, and Hoover failed to act decisively. He wasn't cruel, just powerless. Abdullah Yamin of the Maldives faced similar criticism. His government was plagued by scandals and instability, and his inability to control his cabinet made the country spiral. Or José Sarney from Brazil, who inherited a chaotic economy after dictatorship. Inflation soared, and while he tried to fix it, his leadership never inspired confidence. And sometimes a weak president isn't even the one making decisions. They're surrounded by stronger people, generals, businessmen, or foreign advisors, and they simply do whatever they're told. Level 2 presidents rarely destroy their countries outright, but their weakness allows problems to grow unchecked until someone else has to come and clean up the mess. They teach us one painful truth. A nation doesn't just need a good heart in its leader. It needs strength, conviction, and courage. Without those, even the kindest president can still fail. Level 3, the average politician. Now we reach the middle ground. Not terrible, but not impressive either. These are the presidents who simply do their job. They sign papers, give speeches, attend meetings, but when you look back years later, you barely remember what they actually did. They're not monsters or heroes, they're just politicians. Safe, predictable, and often afraid to take big risks. A level 3 president usually keeps the country stable. No big disasters, but also no real progress. They focus on maintaining power instead of creating change. Their policies are short-term, their decisions are cautious, and while they avoid major failures, they also never leave behind a real legacy. History has plenty of these leaders. Gerald Ford in the United States, a calm, decent man who helped restore order after Nixon, but made few lasting changes. François Hollande of France managed the country with competence, but his presidency was defined by indecision and low public trust. Theresa May in the United Kingdom faced enormous challenges with Brexit, but her leadership was seen as hesitant and uninspiring. And in many countries, you'll find similar figures, leaders who win elections, keep things running, but leave office without ever being remembered. They don't destroy their nations like the disasters, but they also don't elevate them to greatness. They keep the engine running, nothing more, nothing less. A level 3 president reminds us that stability isn't the same as progress. Sometimes doing nothing wrong isn't enough to do something right. Level 4, the reformist. Now we start to see real change. A level 4 president isn't perfect, but at least they try. They step into power with a clear mission, to fix what's broken. They introduce reforms, push new ideas, and shake up old systems. Not everyone likes them, but people can feel that something is finally moving. These leaders often rise after a weak or corrupt government. The country is tired, angry, desperate for direction. So when a reformist comes in, they bring a sense of hope. They fight corruption, cut unnecessary bureaucracy, and open doors for modernization. They might not succeed at everything, but their effort changes the direction of the nation. Let's look at some examples. Mikhail Gorbachev of the Soviet Union. He introduced glasnost and perestroika, trying to make his country more open and efficient. It didn't all work, but it transformed global politics forever. Lee Myung-bak from South Korea focused on economic reform and major infrastructure projects, turning the country more competitive internationally. Abdurrahman Wahid, or Gus Dur, in Indonesia ended decades of military dominance, protected minority rights, and restored democracy after the fall of Suharto. Franklin D. Roosevelt, during his early presidency, was also a reformist. His New Deal policies reshaped America during the Great Depression. But here's the thing about reformists. They often face massive resistance. Old powers fight back, their own supporters grow impatient, and sometimes their changes don't last long after they leave office. Still, reformists play a crucial role in history. They're the ones who plant seeds. Even if they don't see the tree grow, their efforts make it possible for the next generation to rise higher. Level 4 presidents remind us that progress always starts with someone brave enough to challenge the system, even when the whole system fights back. Level 5, the nation builder. Now we enter the stage of true leadership. These are presidents who don't just reform policies. They build entire systems. They think long-term. They focus on stability, unity, and real development. A level 5 president understands that a country isn't changed overnight. It takes years of planning, tough decisions, and sometimes unpopular choices. They balance idealism with realism. They know that to lead, you must first make the nation strong from the inside. They invest in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. They modernize the economy, improve institutions, and strengthen the foundation of democracy or national identity. They're not chasing power, they're building legacy. History gives us many examples. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk of Turkey rebuilt an empire into a modern republic. He separated religion from the state, pushed for education, and created a new national identity from the ashes of the Ottoman Empire. Park Chung-hee of South Korea. Though controversial, he turned a war-torn country into an industrial powerhouse within a single generation. And Jawaharlal Nehru of India laid the groundwork for democracy, science, and modernization after centuries of colonial rule. Nation builders don't chase headlines, they chase progress. They often face criticism in their time, but decades later, people realize how much they achieved. They turn instability into structure and chaos into a clear direction. A level 5 president leaves behind something solid, a stronger nation that can stand on its own long after they're gone. They remind us that leadership isn't just about winning elections, it's about building something that lasts. Level 6, the visionary. Now we reach the rare ones. These are presidents who don't just fix the present, they see the future. While most leaders think about the next election, visionaries think about the next generation. They lead with imagination, courage, and clarity of purpose. A visionary president can see things others can't. They predict where the world is going and move their country in that direction long before anyone else does. They inspire people to dream bigger. They create movements, not just policies, and they change the mindset of an entire nation. You can feel it when a visionary leads. The people start believing again. The country feels alive, like it's moving towards something greater. History gives us some incredible examples. Franklin D. Roosevelt, during his later years, not only rebuilt America's economy, but shaped the modern role of government itself. John F. Kennedy, with his dream of space exploration and national unity, he turned the moon into a symbol of human ambition. Mahathir Mohamad of Malaysia transformed a developing nation into a rising industrial power with a bold vision for modernization and independence. And even Charles de Gaulle of France rebuilt the pride and strength of a nation after war, reminding his people what it means to be French. But being a visionary comes with a price. Their ideas are often too bold, too early, too misunderstood. They face resistance from those who fear change. Some are even taken down before they see their dream realized. Yet their influence lives on in institutions, in values, and in the way their people think. A Level 6 president doesn't just change laws, they change direction. They shift the soul of the nation. They are the bridge between what is and what could be. Level 7, the GOAT. And finally, the highest level of all, the legends. A Level 7 president doesn't just lead a country. They define an era. Their names are remembered for generations, their words are quoted in classrooms, and their vision reshapes the destiny of millions. These are the leaders who embody wisdom, strength, and compassion all at once. They win wars without hatred, build peace without weakness, and lead with a sense of purpose that feels almost timeless. When they speak, the world listens. When they act, history moves. These are the ones who transform chaos into order, fear into hope, and nations into symbols of greatness. Think of George Washington, who refused to be king and instead built the foundation of democracy. Abraham Lincoln, who united a divided America and ended slavery with courage and empathy. Winston Churchill, whose voice alone kept a nation standing during the darkest days of World War II. Nelson Mandela, who turned suffering into forgiveness and revenge into reconciliation. Lee Kuan Yew, who built a modern miracle from almost nothing and proved that discipline and vision could rewrite destiny. These leaders don't just make policies, they make history. Their impact crosses borders, generations, and ideologies. They're the ones who remind humanity what true leadership looks like. A Level 7 president doesn't chase power because power already follows them. They don't demand respect, they earn it. They don't rule with fear, they lead with belief. Even after they're gone, their ideas live on. Their nations continue to grow under the shadow of their greatness. These are the true GOATs of leadership, the ones who prove that a single person with the right vision can change the course of history forever.